Okay, calling to order the February 24th, 2026 regular meeting of the CUSD 201 Board of Education. Roll call, please.
Leah Canover.
Here.
Heather Franklin.
Here.
Carlos Avia.
Here.
Timothy Horman.
Here.
Adina Hoover.
Here.
Kevin Marin.
Here.
Alexandria Mill.
Okay, stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session to discuss specific employees and student discipline.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Horman.
Yes.
Dr. Hoover.
Yes.
Mr. Marin.
Yes.
Ms. Franklin.
Yes.
Mr. Avia.
Yes.
Ms. Conover.
Yes, motion passes. We'll be back in half an hour.
Maybe
Yeah.
Say
We didn't want to change what time public comment would be, so yes, 30 minutes. Jack's gonna do it. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February 10th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
When I
No,
log-
You're not logged in.
Right.
Yes, sorry.
Opposed?
Trying to get on board docs.
Okay, motion passes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the February 10th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to public comment. Do we have public comment tonight? Okay. Moving right past public comment. To the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. 1, personnel recommendations, Charlotte Layden, teaching assistant, Jill Jackson, long-term social worker. Whew. That's a lot of words. Resignation. Number 2, approval of the February 2026 expenditure report. Number 3, ratification of the January 2026 regular payroll. Number 4, approval of Westmont High School student tours. And number 5, approval of donation from Westmont Public Library.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Dr. Hoover.
Yes.
Mr. Marin.
Yes.
Ms. Franklin.
Yes.
Mr. Avia.
Yes.
Ms. Conover.
Yes.
Mr. Orman.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, information and discussion, tutoring opportunities, which is an exciting thing.
Can we get that on the screen?
Shannon, is my report loaded?
Carla would probably have it. I think she's got it.
Cool.
Yours is up.
Cool. Thank you so much. We gotta talk about
Oh, there we go. Yay!
All right, so we're going to give a really brief update on the junior high's participation in a national math tutoring research study. I'm going to turn it over to Amy because she is going to be the best person for this information. She's the
Thank
principal
you.
at the junior high.
Hi, thank you. We are so excited to present to you tonight our participation in the National Math Tutoring Research Study. We are in partnership with Carnegie Mellon University, Stanford University, as well as Carnegie Learning, who provides us with our curriculum. And thank you to Carla because she spearheaded this, and also our teacher, Arissa Grubin. She's going to be the sponsor lead teacher for this tutoring program. In late March, so this March, our pilot of approximately 23 students will receive virtual tutoring by a live person twice per week during our WIN time. So it will not take away from their core academics at all. It will happen in that intervention time. And this is at no cost to the district. Nothing. We selected students based on their academic and math confidence needs to be a part of this program, and the tutoring will be live via the web with adaptive AI math software to provide timely, targeted support for them. All data will be FERPA protected, de-identified, and of course families can opt out if they would like. This partnership allows us to expand our math support for more students while contributing to national research on effective, scalable math solutions and interventions. That's it. Do we have any questions?
How were the students chosen? Like, what were the
Yeah.
parameters or
So the
whatever?
teachers looked at their iReady scores, previous IAR scores, as well as assessments within the class. Just like we choose interventions, it was just another add-on to our intervention repertoire.
And how did this come to us as an opportunity?
So we have the Carnegie resource for junior high math, and the Carnegie rep, they were talking about some kind of Carnegie tutoring that they offered. It was really expensive, so I was like, oh, we can't afford this. It was a cool idea, but it was just too expensive. So then he came to me like a day later and was like, well, maybe you could be part of this university study. And then he connected us with the people who are doing the study, and that's how it came about.
And they let us know they don't have any schools that they serve in Illinois. They're primarily East Coast and I think West Coast too. And so they wanted to have schools in our territory. So we're the pilot for them.
Yeah, they're really looking to see, so the one-to-one tutoring would be with an actual person virtually, and then they're pairing it up with the Mathia software that we already use through Carnegie, and it just kind of is coming together to see how is this going to work, and it's just extra tutoring opportunity for our students during a time when they're already getting tutoring, so it's just more hands on deck, really.
Yes.
Can you speak to, like you said, what this could lead to? Is this something that can move beyond a small group, or is it something that can be supported to move beyond a small group? Like, what does it mean for, besides getting information nationally, like for us?
Yeah, so it's a national study. So it's just contributing to the research to say, okay, these kids need support and tutoring. If we pair this one-to-one virtual support with AI supported, like the Carnegie pathway that they have, what impact does that have on students? And the early results show that it's having really great impact. So it's just more opportunities for different tutoring for students that could be sustainable. But in terms of this study, there's a possibility for it. We're just piloting this end of the year. There's a possibility for it to extend into next school year.
That was going to be my question, how long it goes on for, potentially.
You said parents have the option to opt out.
Yes.
So has this already been communicated to the students that have been selected?
So that is a great question. I will find out for you, but I know that the communication is already set up. I've seen it, and so then we'll let the parents know, and then they'll be able to opt out.
Yeah, it has not started yet.
It doesn't start till the end of March.
Right, it doesn't start till later, but I'm
Yeah,
saying,
right.
like, have the
Yeah.
students that have been, my question isn't really about the opt-out, it's just, have the students been notified? Is the inverse also true of students that haven't been notified aren't involved?
That we weren't going to do, but we can. But we were just going to notify the
No,
ones who.
I'm not saying, I'm saying that if someone's sitting at home right now watching this going, I wonder if my student's been selected,
yes.
they would know now, yes or no, is that the question?
Yes, we will have to ask. Arissa was
Yes.
working on the letter, so
Right.
that if it hasn't gone out yet, it will be within the next couple of days.
Got you, thank you.
It sounds like a good opportunity, just if you would report back how it went.
Yes, of
Absolutely.
course, of
Yeah.
course.
Well, Carla loves her data.
Guys, appreciate it. Okay. Finance and Facilities Committee recap. Wait, no, you guys have more. Yeah. Is this also?
Wonderful opportunity. So Kevin and I are going to talk about teen tutoring at Manning. It's a really cool concept that we are trying to see how it works, trying to see how the kids respond to it, and in the future, try to get our own Westmont students to participate. So I'm going to have Kevin talk a little bit about how it came to be.
It came to be actually over Thanksgiving dinner. So I have nieces and nephews who are in a local school district, Oak Brook and Hinsdale. And we were just talking about my experience here as first-year principal, at Manning, and how different it was from where I was on the North Shore, and talking about how diverse this community is, and the fact that they're neighbors to this community and never realize how diverse we really are. And so, and I was just talking about some of our needs, and they asked, the three of them kind of talking about, like, how could they help our kids who needed support. And so they came up with this tutoring idea, and I put them in touch with Edith, and they actually set up meetings and met with Edith and Ron and a few others over several times, and we worked on how can we make this happen here at Manning. And so currently it should come over on a Tuesday. It's really kind of cool and cute. But the kids, I have three teachers, or one teacher, Ms. Troha, and then I have Mrs. Dispensa and Mrs. Salemi, who are two teaching assistants who kind of help coordinate and get materials to work with the kids. So their second and third graders is how we've started, and there's 14 of them. We've kind of identified them. We had a tiered system, and kind of looked for financial need first. Parents who have reached out and asked for these things because they didn't have the financial resources to do it themselves. We asked teachers at the second and third grade level, to kids that they thought would be of most help for to be a part of this. And so we wanted to start kind of small because my nephew set up a Google form system for all of their friends, and so their friends sign up, and so every week we get like 6 to 7 middle school and high school students who come on their own time. They get here at 3:30. They work with kids till 4. Which I think it's awesome watching them, work together and really work on, they're working on math skills and reading skills with these students. And then Ms. Troha plans like an SEL lesson. So when they get out of school at 2:30, they're with her and Mrs. Dispenza and Mrs. Salemi until 3:30. And actually, the 3 of them stay till 4. But they work on SEL skills and some other tutoring pieces. So it's kind of cool because they built this little community because we're trying to say, like, yes, academics is important, but we also want kids to really have those skills necessary to kind of be able to relate and communicate and develop friendships and things in society. So that's where we're at. And we'd like to eventually, like we said, piloted. It's small. I've got like 12 students in it from Manning that are 2nd and 3rd grade. We'd love to, expand it to allow more students, but then really we were talking about reaching out to our own junior high and our own high school to see would kids be interested in coming and being a part of this program, and that would allow us the opportunity to bring more of our students in from Manning, but then also more of our students in across the district of people who would love to help out and help kids in need. So.
And we
And
chose
if
students
I'm
that
not
needed
mistaken,
a boost of
volunteering to
confidence.
tutor is a service hour opportunity for students. I might have been on the website yesterday, but
We wanted to see how it would work because we have junior high students and we weren't sure how they were going to be with the young ones, but they are so great and their leadership is incredible and the students are responding so well to them. It's a boost of confidence for them, and it's been wonderful.
And they've developed the kids are developing their relationships with these middle school and high school kids who are coming, and the kids have been amazing. The high school and middle school kids have been amazing. Just the interaction, like when you walk in, it just brings a big smile to my face.
Yes.
I'm always telling people, you got to go down and see this. It's really cool.
And the younger ones just like stare at the team. Like I'll learn anything from you.
Yeah.
So we are wanting to bring in more students, and we want to extend it to our junior high and high school, but we wanted to start small, make tweaks along the way, and in addition, we need our own 201 staff members to oversee it. Because they're from outside the district, we needed to make sure that we had those adults, and so we'll need additional adults if we bring other students. But it's working really well, and it's really fun, and yes, we encourage you to come and visit.
And the teachers, it's great. Like Mrs. Dispenza, Ms. Salemi, and Ms. Troha, they go around to those classroom teachers and say, what do your kids really need support in and help? And they kind of all work together and then bring it in. So those kids aren't having to create anything from scratch when they're tutoring. They actually have things there. And then the 3 adults kind of rotate, kind of move around the room and just make sure things are going well. And if they need to help or interject, they do. But
Yes.
they're like, it's been running really
great.
smooth. They've loved it so far.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can I ask what schools the tutors are coming from? And maybe is there an application process? How do you know that when they get here, they're going to be great leaders and they're going to be great tutors? Is there like a process?
We actually had them all come in before we ever started the tutoring service, and they met with all of us and we talked through what the expectations were and things that needed to be done. And if there were kids that needed support, we haven't had that piece yet from the kids that have come in and volunteered, but that's what the adults are there for, to really help
Great.
keep them in where they need to be. So they're coming from Hinsdale Central High School, and then they're coming from the Oak Brook Middle School.
I'd like to see this go in district. Frankly, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That is the goal, right?
That's the
Yeah.
goal. It's just they actually came to us, and we were like, let's make it happen. We can start here and then start expanding it and having our own students participate and working out all the kinks. But yeah, certainly that you will see that happen.
Yeah. This year? Next year?
We actually want to start this year.
Yeah, great.
it would be great to see some data I know you guys are very early in the process, right? Think about what you would like to measure, think about how you could measure it so that we can report back on what it's bringing to the district, not just, what it feels like it's bringing to the district. Let's do those pieces, including, hours and feedback from students, but it sounds heartwarming. I know the days that the high schoolers come back and read, the seniors come back and read and there's all those, whenever there's a couple of those days where you see the older kids coming back to Miller and Manning, it's always the most heartwarming. And I think that's one of the things that being a unit district, we're capable of doing. The kids are, when they graduate, are able to come back and be I was in preschool here, right? It's really cool. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any more tutoring opportunities?
That's all we got tonight.
Okay. How about recapping the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting that happened 5:30 to 6:30 this evening prior to our meeting here?
Another very productive meeting. We're very grateful. We had leaders from the village join us, along with some staff and administration and some community members. We would love to see more community members. We're going to have our next meeting March 17th at 5:30 prior to our regular board meeting. We started off with the finance piece of the Finance and Facilities. Mr. O'Connor and myself and the team are in the process of making some significant reductions, mainly through attrition and retirement, some belt tightening that's necessary to the tune of about $800,000 plus. We believe that can happen without really impacting the quality of services we give to our students and having minimal impact to our current employees and staff and still being able to serve the district at the highest level. And we're still in process, but we will present those reductions beginning in March to the board and the community. But I know Ron and I are confident that we will hit that target, if not more than that, and it'll be putting us in a stronger fiscal position going forward. There were a number of questions at the prior meeting, so we spent a good portion of the meeting responding and giving information to the committee, including talking about a hybrid financing model and options that are available as far as potential ways to fund new facilities going forward. We revisited the TIF information, and the village had some interesting things to share. We got specifics about Miller, Manning, square footage and acreage, including other property possible acquisitions. We also went through the ballot measure deadlines, which include August if we were interested in going in November, and then in January if we're interested in going April of '27. We talked about the benefits of consolidation, that we think conservatively, if we had one K-5 building instead of two, we could save at least $650,000 a year, if not more, through consolidation. There was some discussion. Next steps was to contact some of our fellow community owners, apprising them of the situation and inviting them to our meeting. And we will go forward with some other options and at the March 17th meeting.
Very good.
Comments? Anybody?
I just have a question. I don't know if do we leave questions and comments for the committee, or do we want to have that open broadly?
I think we can discuss, and if we would like to see what we'd like to see from the next direction from the committee, right? We kind of set the direction here. We said hey, we need to bring the committee back together and get some direction, and that was the board's direction, and now maybe it's time for us to give them some additional direction. So,
and Jack, you've used, I'm sorry.
No, it's just do
you
we
use the term option. These are really still ideas, right?
Absolutely.
not plans.
Right.
Not plans.
No, I was just saying that we're really heavily looking at ideas, but and I don't want to say we need 15 ideas, but I was just saying for that QR code, do we give that out, or do we leave it for the committee right now?
We can get that out.
Okay.
That's a really good point,
I'd
Adina.
like that,
That's a
yeah.
really good point,
Sure.
Adina.
Share it.
Just because you weren't here tonight doesn't mean you don't,
Yep.
we don't want to hear your opinion.
Right.
Yep. So the board does have, can't believe I'm saying this. We do have a decision to make if we would like to go potentially to referendum again, and there are very real timeline things that we need to start talking about if that is the case, and it is a very, very, very big if at this point. However, what we need from one of those deadlines, the first deadline would be August, the end of August. We would need to make a decision if we were going to be on the November ballot. That is, every time there's an election, we're allowed to be on the ballot, but there's a deadline for when we need to ask to have our ballot measure prepared to be on that ballot. So that means that the board needs to have direction from the community, needs to have direction from the administration. Like, there's a lot that needs to happen prior to the board feeling like it has enough information to make a decision about if it's going to referendum again for the November election. So what information would the board members need?
I'm thinking when you put out that QR memo, do we want to include like the 4 options? Even at minimum, like, I don't know what you want to include for the information, but if for people were not here and say, this is what was presented by the people who were there. If you want to be a part of this, here's when we're meeting, or submit your comments.
I envision something where we would provide the slide deck and write a synopsis of what was discussed, as well as some of the ideas, so that there is all this information in one set. We could even put it on the website.
Since this is being recorded, can we put the QR code on this recording so that someone who's watching this or goes back and watches this session can actually also access that QR code?
Great idea.
I think the easiest thing is to say, we say here that, find that on our site.
But what do YouTubers do? Don't they go here? There's a link right below. There's a link right below that we put it on after we,
So I realize that we don't post this, right? Because the village thankfully does the recording and does all of the posting of this. Are we able to add a link to the description?
We can put it on YouTube, which is where these things are housed. We can literally go into the comment section and put the link. It's not.
You could. It could just be the very first comment.
I haven't seen the QR code link where it links to, but I would maybe ask if we're going to put it on YouTube, maybe do some. Do you live in Westmont? Right, like name.
Wow.
Right?
You haven't checked our viewership numbers lately.
I do have one friend who doesn't live in the district who likes to watch these and make fun of me. So Chris, please don't. Don't click on the link. Heather wants to keep you out.
Yeah, we don't want to know.
I mean, I'm not trying to. Honestly, I think if you put it's out there. It's public information. This is a public meeting, and there's no reason not to just put the link in there, and whoever really enjoys school financing can go have a look.
It's more than welcome.
And
Let's not
then
gatekeep
again,
it,
on our website, so that.
Yes, up on the website, up on the socials. We can post it in the first comment of the YouTube as well. So
I think for your previous question, what do we need? Or what do I need as a board member to make a decision on what we do next, and specifically for a referendum? I appreciate the community members that come, including the village, to hear, their input and thoughts, and I still feel like we need more of that. I feel like if the board wants to have a discussion to say final, what is your appetite for this, and if you need a decision a decision made, and what is our final decision about this upcoming one? I think it's a good question, and to get the board's vote and speaking on it in a meeting to say, maybe it's more time to say it, we don't have much, to put a final vote to say yes or no. You know, we are considering it, we're not, and then continue what we're doing with our community. Yeah, I don't know if we put a date out that we're gonna, or a potential date that we're gonna make a decision by, and that's part of our discussion, and we make a decision of what we're gonna do for this year, what are our plans. So the community knows what, because I know people ask, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go back? I think we should answer that question as a board and maybe put a date of when we're going to. I think we had it in our finance committee meeting, like potential dates to say, in a board meeting, we're going to say.
Those are the board meetings,
to say what.
scheduled
right.
board meetings prior to the deadlines, so that we don't have to do, another.
16th, I think it was.
I think.
If we were to,
Right.
that's our drop dead.
Right.
When we would need to make.
I think we could
have
say
a
it
board
before.
action.
I have my own opinions about that. So if that, I know, Madam President, if you want us to say even before that what we're going to do, I think that's fine too. That we don't have to wait for that date. We can say, I don't know. I don't know if everybody has an opinion about just making a decision about that. At least it's for this year.
I think it's premature for us to talk about that right now. I think there's still a lot of other discussions that need to go on.
But I'm
what
just
do you
saying,
need,
like.
what do we need to know to
Say yes
get
or no.
to,
Put it off, yeah.
not even that. What do we need to know that makes that not premature? Because I'm not saying that,
We have
I want to
to,
be
yeah.
super clear. I'm not saying I want a ballot measure or that I want to be very, very clear.
Right.
That is not what we were talking about. But what do we need from the committee? What direction do we need from the committee? What work does the committee need to do? What do you, as board members, need from that committee to report to us so that we can have discussions about, because ultimately, there were 4 options. Look, it's endless options, but it's really, there's 4 big options, right? We need to decide a pathway. So what do we need from the committee to give us in order to decide a pathway? And the sideline of that pathway is, if that pathway is a referendum of any kind, because 3 of those options do have a referendum on them, that the very first time that we have the next opportunity, the deadline is August 27th. So that's what I'm saying. What do we need from because we need to give the committee direction on what they need to give, on what we need from them.
I would like a committee recommendation, 1, 2. Like first recommendation, secondary. And I'd love to hear I more from our community, which is not I want to gauge the success of whatever we move forward with. There's a lot of work that goes into this next phase of our district, and I want to
I agree. I've
hear
asked,
from the community.
is there room for a town hall where it's the committees asking more community members to come in and state? Like, I don't think it's a lot of work that, like, it's not a committee work thing, but it's gauging the community. And we haven't had it in a long time. I don't think you need a lot of them, but I think we need it in some way.
I wonder if the next ask from the committee is, how would you like us to engage the public?
Yeah.
Give us some direction on, because that
Is it a survey?
that's endlessly the challenge, right? How would you like us to engage the public to gather more information on this?
Yeah, because I agree, we haven't heard from the public nearly enough. You know, like, do we do surveys? Do we have town halls? We need more input. Yeah, so.
And that input to maybe, and that may be from the committee or input, like, first choice is not, we do not recommend, no, like, I think it needs to be said, and it's not just sneaking up on us, like, oh, it's August, are we going? Like, I think we just need to point out, say, no, the committee doesn't think we're ready for this. We've engaged the community, we're not. And so we know, and we can answer the public too and say we are not. We can say definitively that the board has gotten information from the committee and the public. If we were to, we're looking at this date, whatever that is. So what again, yeah, we need to, I guess, ask in that March 17th, next steps beyond, so we can have a game plan or roadmap.
We could ask if we would like to resurvey the committee and/or review the survey that we had done 2 years ago now, maybe a year ago, regardless of perception of that survey. It was a very scientific survey, and it was a very well-done survey. So we could ask about, do we want to redo a survey? Do we want to do another survey to measure appetites? Do we just want to review that survey's data, which we still have? Carlos, you're looking at me real confused, like.
No, what's the ask of the committee? The ask of the committee, I think, is what information, if you're sitting on this board right now and you are undecided, because I think we all are, undecided as to whether, because I think, I don't know, what is our August meeting date? August 18th, maybe?
Yeah.
Those aren't set yet.
Okay.
Oh, because it's next year's meetings. That's the next, yeah.
So that's why
we will
there's
set
a
that
potential
schedule.
in the
Yeah.
slideshow.
Theoretically, August 18th. So that's kind of like the line in the sand that we're working back. That's the cup that we're putting backwards from, right? And we're looking at that cup, and so in theory, everybody on this board would want to know at some point before August 18th how they feel about this, right? And so, what do you need to know? If you're a board member right now and you don't have all the information you need, what information do you still need? And some of that is information that maybe the Finance Facility cannot provide, that's fine. The Finance and Facilities Committee cannot provide, maybe that's fine. But what can the Finance and Facilities, because the topic we're talking about right now is the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting. So what is the direction from any of the board members here as to what that committee should be working on to fill that information gap for you individually? I think that's the question on the table. That's why I'm looking at you that way, because I mean, that's the question on the table. And I think each person should go around maybe and answer that question for themselves at the moment. There might be other ones at the next one, right, or after the next one.
Yeah, I think we need to figure out a way to get more engagement. And one thing that I always think is effective is paper. And I know that it's expensive, but the village has a monthly newsletter that they come out with, and they put all kinds of, there's a meeting on this that I know I read. I may be old-fashioned, but I open that up and I read it. It's only 12 or 15 pages.
You're talking about the Westmont, the Little
Westmont magazine, right? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything in there that says, "Hey, there's a Finance and Facilities Committee meeting for the Board of Education in there." It would be great to have that in there. I don't know when the next one comes out.
Am I hearing you say that you would like to task the committee with getting more public engagement? And you're suggesting an idea.
Right, coming up with ideas, and maybe the Finance and Facility Committee isn't the right committee to do that, but I also think that it is because it's dealing with this specific issue, and
it could help. It could help drive it. I agree with that for sure.
I think the way Carlos kind of described that, we're asking the committee for more engagement, more public engagement to help us make this decision. And here's an idea.
Here's an
Not the
idea.
only one, what other ideas you got?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because we would like more public input, but we've got, actually, these committee meetings have been, the last two have had more engagement than many have before, and so anyway, long story short, that seems like a very tangible ask of the committee. Get more voices in more different ways.
Can we invite, it's not a PR meeting, but invite them to listen to help, say, okay, when we're going to combine the efforts of our finance and our PR to get out, is it a postcard that I know that's money, but we need to figure something out, at least for engagement, to get information.
I don't know that we need to combine the meetings
Not
in
really,
particular,
but invite
but
them
yes,
and
I
just
think.
combine the work.
I think part of the piece is hey, the committee's asking for this engagement and engaging the the PR committee, or the PR team on like, how do we
Yep, how do we get
get
more?
some
Yep.
pieces? Kevin, what do you need to? What would you like?
Just really more information. I'd love to see a survey go out. Because how many people are you going to get to come to a meeting versus how many people will answer a survey? So, it's good to review the data from that previous survey, but I kind of think we need a new survey.
The problem with surveys, I think, is how you ask the question, and you also don't get to ask a
Back and forth.
follow-up and have that back and forth, and, so I mean, it's probably very expensive to have a really good survey designed, and I think that it's better to have engagement where you're having back and forth exchange of ideas.
But there's trade-offs there, because in a well-designed survey, which the last survey was a very well-designed survey, and hit our population incredibly well from a demographic standpoint. There are trade-offs, right? Like, you have to take that information, you have to take the pieces of it, because you have to recognize that committee involvement is the few people with a lot of voice, right? And the survey is additional information of folks who don't have time, don't have whatever, right? But it's the mass of people being able to give very specific feedback. Like, we have to take that all as a whole. I think we can't weigh too heavily
Question,
on
when we
either.
say the survey, are we referring to?
That phone survey.
The phone survey, that's what we're referring to,
Yeah.
right? And it was, from a data science standpoint,
Yeah.
a very sound survey, that's for sure. It was sort of the boilerplate benchmark survey for this type, right?
Yes.
But it was run by phone, and it was expensive. And I kind of,
But we
yeah,
also
I wouldn't
know-
want something that wasn't,
Yeah.
that wasn't sound from a data science standpoint. And I agree with Tim that a good, sound survey is expensive. It is. So just, it's something to think about, right?
I think we can review the cost. We had all of those costs laid out, and if we were to explore redoing a survey, we don't need to recreate. In fact, we should not recreate the questions. We should ask the same questions, and we should do it in the same way that arguably wouldn't cost us the same amount that it did before, because we don't have all of the prep. And we don't have all of the other stuff, because it was included in other parts.
Yeah.
We were not to do other parts, but we
And
got
I have
a
a
cost, we got a cost balance.
Well, I guess, is that an ask of the finance committee, or is that just something that needs to get done?
I think it's something the finance committee should discuss in more detail, and, I mean, I'm not opposed to it necessarily, but I think it's something that.
Another thing on the table about getting more information.
Yeah.
That's a fair, so at the 17th meeting, a question I'm hearing is how to engage the community? What are some of the mechanisms to get community input?
Can I ask a question about, and I'm going, sorry with it, I think you've asked this before, or maybe you've been educated on this, and I'm not recalling the answer, but is there a way to ask a point question from our district during this huge election about, in a way, like we can't do 5 questions? And I think we answered this before. We're not asking for money, but is there a way of saying, like asking a question?
Like on the ballot? You mean
Yeah.
like, can we ask a question on the ballot?
Right. Can we ask a question on the ballot?
Like an advisory, I think
interesting.
I've seen like advisory questions where it's not a binding thing,
Yeah.
but, there was one, I think, a couple elections ago that talked about, amending the Constitution.
Yeah.
Right.
And it wasn't binding, it was just advisory, it was just, give us information on
I
it.
know nothing about this.
I remember
Can we-
answering a question like that, but I don't know.
I remember that as well. Can we explore that?
Sure, you got this?
That's
And
a
you-
fascinating idea.
And it's a huge election, so we're not asking for money, but we're hitting. And people, we're not, it's almost survey-like, everybody's not gonna answer it. But we hit a large
Fascinating question.
It's a free survey.
Yep.
And you're actually asking the people that go vote.
Yeah.
Well, in that election.
And then, right.
That's very important information.
Isn't this,
This should be a very high turnout November election.
so we're not getting a demographic that, that votes more than another? Well, we do.
Well,
but it's
I mean, we reviewed the demographic challenges of
different elections.
Right?
every election
I think it was called like an advisory question or
demographic
something like
challenges.
that.
So this was a good one to do it. I wouldn't want to do it in
I've never even
a
thought about this.
consolidated
So
election.
I think I think, can we explore the question? And then I think the other piece of it that would be helpful to understand is not just the straight, like, how much information can we get? Because,
From the responses?
because, you know, I think we were at like 60% turnout, 60, 70% turnout or something in the last presidential election, and we had 5,000 votes roughly total. Our entire voting, or maybe it's 6,000, something like that. Our voting block is about 10,000 registered voters. Like, who makes those up? I know that we can't get those details, but 2,500 one way, 2,500 the other way. Those same 2,500 don't ever show up at the municipal. So, like, can we even, I don't know, can we get different information from an advisory question than we could get from a voting question? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Demographic
Very interesting
information.
question.
And I know,
Itself is interesting, and the answer to the question we want to ask is even more interesting. So.
and then the other work, that's, if you can, it's how do you ask and what do you ask?
Yeah,
You get
it's-
one question.
That's always the magic,
Yeah,
right?
so-
It's always the magic.
Okay, so I'm hearing more engagement, more ways to engage. I'm hearing reviewing of the previous survey, exploring a potential new survey. I'm hearing exploring the advisory question. Is there information that you guys would like the committee to review, like things from the, you know, last 2 or 3 years that the committee hasn't seen that we'd like them to review? We've taken in a massive amount of information in the last couple of
Really
years as it relates
Asked for
to,
and we received a ton.
yeah, as it relates to all things facilities, not just, I don't want to, not just referendum, but just all, frankly, all things facilities. For me, like, what comes up, when you ask this question, what came up to me was that I would want to know what the committee members would want me to have considered. What information would they have wanted me to consider before I make that, before I vote for them, right? So what would they have wanted to know that, like, I've looked into, I've gotten that information. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, to me it does. You're just basically saying people who are members of the committee, what maybe questions they don't need answers to themselves, but they want to make sure that the people sitting at this table have asked those questions or have had those questions answered. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got one that's a little bit more ground floor, but, and that is, it didn't get brought up in today's committee meeting, but it did at the last one, was this issue of like buildings being inspected and having non-conformances, or not non-conformances, what are they called? Being
Non-compliant.
out of compliance on certain things, and I think this might sound like a little minutia detail, but I would love to know what, if any, are we out of compliance on based on the last inspections?
Out of code?
Out of code,
Yeah.
out of code. That's what it was. It wasn't out of compliance, it was out of code, thank you. Because I know that these things happen, right? And you have time to bring things up to code. You don't, just because you're out of code, they don't shut your building down, right?
Like a village code or like an ADA or?
All of
All of it.
From that ARCA, so
All
like,
of it.
what are we out of code of that would be covered under the HSA?
Or not.
With a-
Are there things that are not? Are there things, can you be out of code and it's not covered under
Health, safety?
health and safety? I don't know the answer to that question. And I guess what I'm getting at is, one information need that I have as a board member is, it still remains like, what does not going out for a referendum money The kind of money that you need that you get only from a referendum, not from our own financing. What does it cover, right? Because I would love to know that.
Well, you're talking about from the 10-year life safety report that's done by an architect. So our most recent one was done 4 years ago.
Let me look to make sure.
I
wanna say it was
think directionally that's right.
Yeah. So Cashman did the last one, and then we were due, right? And that's where the master plans come from. That's where the documents that Joe pulls all of that stuff from the master plan, which is fed from the 10-year life safety.
I know it's
Yeah.
a little detail. I know that it is,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that, like, I know Joe has absolutely killed himself over the last few years prioritizing and reprioritizing and presenting information in different ways so everyone can understand this is important, this is really important, the building's going to fall down important. I understand that. But one thing, one overlay I haven't seen is the out of code stuff. I would love to see that overlay.
Yeah, we know like priorities, but not necessarily like.
Or maybe they are there, but.
Maybe they're there, maybe I missed them. Maybe Joe's
No,
already.
it's just not said though.
It's not
Because he may be
communicated.
using that for his needs to be done, but we
Yeah.
don't know, so we need
Yeah,
to.
so there's one that I have that I would love to understand a little bit better. Would help me. So, I mean, hypothetically speaking, if it's a huge chunk and it eats up everything we can possibly do on our own, right? And these are things that you're in theory obligated to do, then that's something I would want to know, you know? So.
Okay. Good? Great. You guys have direction for the next meeting?
Yes.
Awesome. Moving right along. Our action item tonight, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2027 student fees as presented. Just a reminder, we reviewed these in the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Dr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mr. Marin,
Yes.
Mr. Avia,
Yes?
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Ms. Horman, Mr. Horman, sorry.
Yes.
Superintendent's report.
I have a quick PowerPoint I want to share. Pretty incredible. I love questions.
Oh, yes. Wonderful.
So, for tonight, new information became available to us. Dr. Braun was at a DuPage curriculum directors meeting, and what was shared with us was all the schools in DuPage and the growth that each of those schools had seen. Now, my point is this, because sometimes it gets bandied about test scores and so forth. There's a difference between your bottom line proficiency score, which percentage of your students were proficient on a state exam, and what percentage of your students showed adequate growth. There's a big difference there. Now, proficiency, and I'm going to argue that growth is not only more important than proficiency, it's almost the reason we exist. What is our purpose as an institution is to see our students grow and they're learning, right? I don't know what's more important than that when it comes to education. It's not just bottom line scores. Because standardized tests, it's well established, mountains of research, that your proficiency score is driven primarily by socioeconomic factors. Look at any scatter plot from any state in the union, and you will see a direct correlation between the percentage of students who live in economic poverty and the performance on standardized tests. It's well researched that they're not only culturally and ethnically biased, but there's a correlation between socioeconomic status and performance on standardized tests. That's well established. However, growth is an indicator of learning. So if somebody was really serious about measuring the effectiveness of a school district or a school, you would look at how well they're growing their students. Does this make sense? The most important number, the more important than what your bottom line score is. So the growth is an indicator of how well we are advancing our kids. If you're in a school district that, for instance, has kids, 75, 80% of them, like some of the magnet schools do, 90%, are already at level as they walk in the building at proficient, that's not really an indication of how well the school is doing at educating and growing them and moving their learning. So, growth is an indicator of learning, and this metric evens the playing field. To measure the quality of how a district or a school is doing, growing student learning is the number. This metric is the indicator. So, Let's take a look. Where do you think CUSD 201 stands in one of the wealthiest counties in the state and nation? For instance, and this was provided by Dr. Braun, 50% would be your average growth. 55 to 60% is above average growth. And if you're above 60%, you are getting excellent growth. Now, this is a little bit tricky because we're used to seeing percentiles. So we would expect, like in some areas, we're in the 99th percentile. There is nobody in the state who's growing at 90 or even 80% that we find. So CUSD elementary math is at 64, ELA is at 62, high school math at 60, and ELA at the high school 66. Now here we have broken down all the districts and schools in DuPage County and their growth levels. So there's a lot of data there. The bottom line is this, though, and this is, we're going to put this out to every parent, every staff member, community on our website. Where do we stand in DuPage County? For elementary math, number 2 in growth out of these dozens of schools. Number 3 in ELA, actually Roselle and Salt Creek have 63. We're at 1 point off the mark, so we're number 3. The high school's number 1 in DuPage for math growth and for ELA growth in DuPage. These are some new numbers to us. And this is really the most powerful thing, I think. Our district as a unit district is number 1 in DuPage for growth. I think it's the most important number we could be looking at. Now here is statewide. There's 852 school districts. The number 1 unit district, according to over 2 years for growth, Illinois State Board of Education is CUSD 201. Number 1 unit district for growth in the state of Illinois when you look at 2-year growth rates. We're number 6 out of 852 overall. So top 1% of districts in Illinois, number 1 for unit districts. So over this 2-year period of time, number 1 unit district in Illinois for growth. Over the 2-year period of time, number 6 overall out of 852 districts, top 1%. In the most important metric, in the most important category, why do we hold board meetings? I would argue, why do we hold our administrative meetings and our faculty meetings and our staff meetings and professional growth? It's to grow our kids. And we are either number 1 unit district or in the top 1% out of 852 districts. The next time somebody would argue about our test scores not being strong enough, we have something even better than bottom line test scores and proficiency, and that's the growth of our students. And that's a testament to our team from top to bottom, from our community, parents, school board, admin, teaching staff, students, families, parents, everybody. I say to my team sometimes, I think I'm living in the matrix because I have to pinch myself. Is this reality? This is, as an administrator, what you would dream of, to see your student and your team grow, not just good, not just great, but the best unit district in Illinois and top 1% in the state. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. I would love questions, but I think it really speaks to return on investment. We are spending per pupil at a high rate. There's not a doubt about that. But the return we're getting for student growth and performance and learning speaks for itself. These are not our numbers. This is not an opinion. This is the data provided by the Illinois State Board of Education and the other agencies that we use. And once again, this doesn't even touch on top 1% for chronic absenteeism, top 1% for 5 essentials.
Love it.
Thanks. So what we're doing, what you're doing as a board, what our teachers and kids are doing, incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board reports. Any board reports?
One second, microphone.
You got, wait. Yes, no, maybe?
I can't think. Sorry.
I feel like we were just here yesterday, so. Public comment. Do we have any public comment? Thank you.
Stephanie.
Okay, future meetings and events. Pizza Wars tomorrow night, the night of the year. Followed up by the other thing that is the pinnacle of excitement for the district, parent-teacher conferences. No student attendance this February 26th. Parent-teacher conferences are 12:30 to 8:30 to 8 p.m. And on February 27th, we have an Institute Day, so that is a no student attendance day also. And then our next SIP dismissal day is March 11th. See your specific school for specific dismissal times. We've got preschool screenings on March 11th also. And our next meeting, regular meeting of the CUSD 201 Board of Education is March 17th. We do not need to enter closed, so there's no motion to enter closed. And the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the February 24th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.